Yes, no, maybe. I don't know. Can you repeat? Well, yes, no, 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 maybe. Life is unfair.
Hello and welcome to Yes, No, Maybe. My name is Ryan.
My name is Willa.
We are brother and sister, and this is a podcast where we discuss, debate, and relate to the widely seen and criminally underappreciated 2000 sitcom Malcolm in the Middle. Today on the show, we are honored to have the actor behind one of Willa and I's favorite characters. Eric Hanson is a voice of reason and sensitivity in Francis's life. He's a courageous young man who foolishly decided to leave military school for a hellhole in Alaska and dragged Francis along with him. He's an actor who makes a meal out of every line of dialogue. If you don't know him from his 27-episode run on Malcolm in the Middle, you may have seen him on Wet Hot American Summer, First Day at Camp, and 10 Years Later, Generation Kill, Weeds, and HBO's Winning Time. Ladies and gentlemen, join us in welcoming to the podcast Eric Nenninger. Thank you for being here, Eric. We are legitimately huge fans.
Oh, that's amazing. What an incredible introduction and a description of Eric Hanson's character arc on Malcolm in the Middle. I'm so happy to be here, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean,
of course.
So many times in this rewatch podcast, we'll spend, 5 minutes to just being like, and Eric just knocking that line out of the park, just home run. It'll be like it'll be like a line, sort of an innocuous line, but it's just like the way you deliver it with like such fervor. It's like, holy shit! It's
Yes.
it's so awesome.
Yeah, that's
I
really
think it's
good
called
word. the fervor.
overacting. It's really the definition of it.
Well,
I
it's
say that
perfect
all the
'cause, like,
time.
Eric is like kind of like a fragile guy, I feel like, sort of, there's like sort of a sensitivity to him. And like I don't know, it's really funny when he gets flustered. Like it's some of the funniest moments, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I definitely think that he was, for all the, braggadocious aspects to him and the alpha male wannabe, I think he was a very fragile boy underneath, which is probably
Yeah.
something that I brought to the character without knowing psychologically. 22-year-old Eric Nenninger.
And was the character written as Eric, or like, and you're like, oh, that's my name also, or like?
No, it was written as like cadet. They were adding a couple
I
of
see.
extra military cadets at the end of the first season, and they were. I think that they were so wonderful with what the things that they paid attention to, and the things that they realized were not necessarily something that we needed to get hung up on. So they were like, we need a bunch of great cadets that will add, expand this world that we've got at the military school and give different dynamics to it. And then they found a bunch of amazing actors that sort of came in at the end of the first season. And then they were just like, great, his name's Cadet Eric. Like Linwood Boomer, the creator, didn't get hung up too much on things that were going to just waste time or anything like that in a wonderful way. And then you realize that kind of led to how genius the show was, that he knew what was important, he knew what wasn't important. And like the name of the actual cadet is something that he would be like, I don't know, let's write some funny episodes. His name's Eric, you know? So I think when I originally auditioned, it was just like military cadet. And then they were like, well, he needs a name now. And then they would just add it into that. So it was Cadet Eric. It wasn't a coincidence,
Yeah.
that they happened to hire me.
Yeah, so they were like trying to just build a little bit more of an ensemble of people that you would, characters that you would know, rather than kind of more faceless like cadets. And did they did they describe your cadet as unique in any way of like, oh, he's the one that blah blah blah, or was it more just like, let's just get a bunch of fun actors and see what happens here?
I definitely auditioned for the final episode of the first season as that role. I think that they were looking for more voices in the cadet world, but it wasn't necessarily a throw a bunch of cadets in the room and see what sticks. They definitely had an idea that I would be the antagonist a little bit, that I would pressure Francis. I think up until that point, he kind of was the only one that was, sort of a shit disturber there. And so they were looking for more, and they added 2 at the end there to add to the other 2 or 3 that we had. And they could become sort of a crew. But no, my guy was always like that. I think that the first episode might have been the Peeps episode.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or that might have been the first episode of the second season. But it was always going to be the guy that Francis was sort of friends with and enemies with, frenemies very much. And it just worked as they kept going. Drew Powell and I started to have a dynamic as he was kind of like the big dumb lug.
Right.
And then RJ Smith as well, sort of being like the passive intellect a little bit. And then Kassan Butcher was the name of the other actor who joined me in that final episode. It also created a dynamic where we could have one side versus the other. And I think that they could probably speak more to that. I was just overjoyed to have a job on a show that I thought was incredible already,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you what was your relationship to that show before you got cast? Were you aware of it, or did you get cast and you're like, oh, I got to catch up on this? Because there's only one season at the time.
Yeah, it was more an idea of like, once I got the audition, I had to become aware of the show. Because I was 22, you know, but I was hustling in Los Angeles trying to get work. I had gotten a few TV gigs and I didn't know the show. So when I got an audition for it, I was like, let me watch some of this. And I'm sure, obviously I didn't stream it because it was 2001, right around there. So I must have just caught it and watched it. And I was like, oh, I get it. It's a little turned up. It's a little cartoonish, but also grounded in some kind of reality. It's a little over the top. And that was my jam. Like overacting was my jam. So I slid right in. I was like, this is normal. Everyone behaves this way. But to get the style of the show and the tone of the show, I caught up on it before the audition, you know.
Right.
Totally. Had you worked on any comedies that did, you know, laugh track, studio audience kind of stuff? Because I know this was kind of breaking that mold a bit and having it be a single cam. And had you done that before?
No, and what a seminal show to be like such a long-running one as a single-camera comedy in that era right there. I didn't realize what I was a part of. You guys, I didn't fucking know what I was a part of when I was doing it. And you know what I mean? It was literally the fourth job that I ever got, and then they asked me to come back and do more of them, and they were so wonderful and so great. And I was like, well, Hollywood's easy. Like, you know, everybody's friendly. You go to work one day, they call you and ask you to come back again. And I knew the show was good. I knew it was great, but looking back on it now, I was like, wait, nobody was really doing that on network television at the time. I think there was one or two other single camera comedies. Sex and the City was coming out around then. And then there was like the Larry Sanders Show, which was essentially a single camera comedy. And there were some more, I'm sure, that came and went, you know, in the early 90s and stuff. But for them to be doing what they were doing in a family comedy with all the camera tricks and stuff, and even like the swoosh that they would do when they would spin the camera, and like the little techniques that they had that were just so delicate and added to the complete picture of it. I had no clue how great it was. So no, I had not been on a multi-camera comedy yet. It was the fourth thing that I had ever done. I did one pilot because I think that they were starting to make ones like that was a single camera comedy that never got turned into a show. It was just a pilot and it didn't go anywhere. It was called The Opposite Sex, and it was about 3 males who go to an all-female school. Like they were doing the bosom buddies thing, but they were doing it in school. And then, coincidentally, I was a military cadet in that one as well too. And then I did a couple of I got a niche.
Typecast.
I know. Do you think you get typecast? You do have the kind of like militaristic look in it. Like I feel like you know.
Yeah, 100%. I've been in every branch of the military, the FBI. I auditioned
like
to be a Canadian Mountie. 3 tours in Hollywood. Yeah,
you come to set with your own uniform.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm good to the costumer.
I mean, you deserve a Purple Heart by now, man.
I'm glad you're saying it. I'm still waiting for the phone call. I definitely have like the jock military, went to some Midwestern business school, is probably embezzling money kind of look to me. Right. And those are the roles that I play. Or I'm the really nice guy who killed the woman and has her head in the trunk of my car. So, which is
well, that's
I always tell people
life.
if I'm that's exactly right. That's the role that I play. I always tell people if I pop up on some crime show, it doesn't matter how nice I am in the beginning, I 100% killed that bitch. Like it's me.
That's hilarious.
So funny.
It's me every single time on every crime show except for like one, and awesome. It was really close to me doing it in that one. So,
he's like, well, I thought about it, but
yeah, I tried to. She's already dead.
That's so funny.
No, nobody was doing it. Nobody was doing it, single camera comedy like that. And I rewatched the pilot, and I just imagined Fox executives watching that pilot and just their jaws dropping and them saying, "Can you do more of these? Like, is this just a one-off?" Like, the camera stuff was so amazing, you know?
Yeah,
I love all those people.
Yeah.
I mean, going off the type, you know, you were like this military jockey guy, but then I think I would love to hear about how clearly they were like, Eric has got something with Francis, and like they work so well together and wanted to bring you along, and you know, you were the impetus to go to Alaska and things like that. But I think Eric also has, like we mentioned, this sensitivity, you know, and this it's not just a jock. It's like Francis has it too. This kind of like gooey center a little bit. And yeah, I'm wondering like when they started to develop that, and when you realize like, oh, they want to bring me along, like to to do more stuff. This isn't just going to be I'm part of the ensemble.
Yeah, I think as the second season went along and you would just be written into more storylines, it was working. It was whatever would work best for the show and the dynamic. And I think that what worked well was that Eric was always had a strong opinion in the way that Francis had a strong opinion. And Eric could police him a little bit and kind of be a parent and get annoyed with him, but at the same time would also want to disrupt things as well. There was something about him being kind of responsible, but also a scared 17-year-old boy that worked. And so they could be friends and antagonists together. And then I think that's what's so special about Malcolm too, because as heightened as it was, and as these boys were doing ridiculous things, you know what I mean? Whether it was that study test episode where Francis can't focus, or the Peeps episode where they're just sitting around with nothing to do. They had a way of also showing vulnerability in the characters. Every 17-year-old boy is, super tough and doesn't take any shit and, can man his way through everything. And he's also scared and doesn't know what he's doing. And they're away from their families, which you don't even realize too. They're all shipped off to military school. They're all little boys without moms and dads around, Cadet Eric had dads. That was really funny. He had 2 dads, which was great. Yeah. And that was what was so good about Malcolm, was that there was this real life emotional depth to these very heightened, almost one-dimensional characters, in a sense, all the way down to the fringe cadets in the military school in the Francis storyline. So as that started to build at the end of season 2, on my perspective, they just called my agent and they were just like, hey, we want to make Eric more a part of season 3. And I'm trying to remember when I found out that we were going to Alaska. They think they told me right around as 2 started to wrap up that was what the storyline was going to be. They said they had kind of run the military school, had kind of run its course, and they needed to change Francis's life a little bit, and he was going to be graduating. And the story that Linwood told me was that his brother did that, left school and went to Alaska to work in a logging camp.
Wow.
And so he was like, that's the one that we did. And then they just decided that the best dynamic would be Eric and Francis doing that together, I assume. I just took it as it came, but I was overjoyed. I couldn't believe it that they were calling me and they were like, you're going to be in, a majority of season 3, clear your schedule and make yourself available for us. And I was like, great. And they're like, well, I pay you money to do it,
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they thought the dynamic worked well, kind of having the 2 of them. And I guess Eric would probably have been the one that would venture out on his own as well. I think it was his idea. He's like, I'm going to go up there too. So, but Linwood told me that his brother did that.
Wow. Yeah. It kind of tracks. Because I feel like Francis, he needs somebody to bounce off of a little bit, and Eric being kind of the rule follower is a good, jumping off point for there's a lot of there's a dynamic there and can just generate, storylines really well. But it's funny how there is in all of Francis's arcs, there is a sort of essentially there's a Lois, right? It's Spangler, and then it's Lavernia, but there always is this authority that you need to rage against, which I think is a fun part of Francis's storyline. Yeah, and then I love when they bring Piama in, and then go down to the Dude Ranch in Arizona or New Mexico, wherever it was, because then she kind of becomes a newer version of that for him. But
That's true.
She is Lois, but she's not Lois.
Right.
She's got. Which is
That's
also
true.
Growing up. They have him kind of grow up and become a young man and get married and, eventually have children too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you were in Malcolm in the Middle, but you were sort of in a self-contained show, right? It's the military school and Alaska is really sequestered from Malcolm and the family. I can think of the episode where Hal comes to visit, but that's kind of the only overlap.
I mean, you've never met Malcolm.
Right.
You're in Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
I know.
Was that interesting?
Right?
That, your perspective on the show was sort of different.
Yeah.
I imagine.
No, it was incredible. I never worked with any of the cast except for Bryan Cranston in that one episode that he comes to the school. I would see them, but it was kind of like a morning shift and a night shift. And again, that's why Linwood was so great at making television, because you're under these constraints of time and budget. And you've got kids that can only work a certain amount of hours. And you're doing a single camera comedy, so you have to do a little bit longer to do each scene because you have to set up the lighting and stuff. But he had a team around him that was amazing. Ken Kwapis, who I know that you guys had a chance to talk to, and was a big director. But then Todd Holland was another big director. They just knew how to write for a successful TV show. So it was a function of the medium. They knew that they had to have a 12-hour day, and that they could only have their kids for 6 or 8 of it. So they wrote an entire world that would happen with, young 20-year-olds that could come into work. They would gladly come into work at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
I was like, can we push it to 3 p.m.? Like, it was great, So what would happen is that all the family would be clocking out, and then the cadets would come and clock in. And it was sort of like that Looney Tunes cartoon when you would see like the wolf clocking in and the other one clocking out, like passing shifts with the night shift and stuff like that. So I would see them in the makeup or in, on set or go and watch the end of their scene, and then they would all leave. So I knew all of them. I knew Malcolm, and I knew Frankie Muniz, and I knew Jane Katzmarek, but I never worked with them. And Justin Berfield and all of them occasionally. But it was really interesting. They set it up like that to have a whole world that they could shoot from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. while the kids could go home and get their rest they needed because they were young. I mean, Eric Sullivan was, I think, 5 or 6. And even Frankie
what a
was
diva.
12. Oh, my God. I don't work past noon. Well, that was Bryan Cranston said that he never worked past noon, which I thought was really an odd time to have because he also said he wouldn't work before 10 o'clock, which was weird. But he's got that reputation. I think you guys
He
know.
does.
Follows him around, He's paying the price.
Lazy is kind of the word that gets thrown around Hollywood, just to be honest.
Industry uses,
let's stop circling around it. It's lazy.
It's like, Bryan Cranston's lazy. I mean, let's be honest.
It is pretty astonishing, though, that it is literally like it's 2 TV shows essentially that are, but still feel very thematically connected. And you're never like, okay, get back to the family. I don't think anybody is ever like, oh, it's the Francis and Eric storyline, right?
No.
It's like it's still so compelling on its own.
I know people that are like, yeah, that's my favorite part. Was watching those hijinks. I
mean, you guys also kind of have you guys were all cute boys. Like I feel like there's that's kind of like the heartthrob saying are cute men.
We were wondering just like within the military school, I had some questions about that. Like, what do you think? Do you have a theory of like why Eric was there? Like what could he have done?
No, I never thought about it. I guess I just assumed that we were all, there because we wanted to be there. Yeah, because he was sort of responsible in the sense that he was trying to keep everybody, within the guardrails, when they would travel and things like that. And he had ambition and things. I never thought about what he did with his parents that got him landed there, or what sort of like juvenile detention center he had landed himself in, Yeah,
because his dad seems so sweet too in that episode.
Right.
I'm like, come on.
Maybe he's like legacy. Like maybe one of his dads went there or something also.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's kind of how I thought of it too. Maybe it wasn't necessarily a punishment as much as it was something that you went because you were required to go to, and there was honor in it and stuff, because he sort of took it more seriously. It didn't seem like it was a punishment necessarily.
Yeah,
right.
I think he was dealing coke. I'll be honest.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he was an entrepreneur, but there was honor and legacy. There was legacy in his drug dealing.
Legacy cokehead.
Honor and legacy. Yeah. Did you see Eric as kind of a shade of yourself, or like how would you describe Eric to somebody who's like never seen the show, like as a character?
I think I was so young that I was trying to do what I thought was funny and what I thought the writers wanted. And what they were doing was writing towards what I brought. If I look back on it now, I'm like, that's the exact kind of role that I play. And it's kind of like the role that I would play in my social circle. Like I would definitely be the one that was excited to do something, but I would make sure that the rules were kind of followed. Or if like a fight was going to break out with my friends, like I would be the logical one. And I sort of did it in the way that Eric did it. Like I would, embarrass people into not fighting. I'd be like, you guys, why are you not more evolved than this or something? And I ended up playing characters like that along the way. I did a short-lived college fraternity show called Glory Days. And I was the president of the fraternity. And it was almost an Eric Hanson kind of role because I had to keep the fraternity open. But the rest of the frat brothers wanted to live frat life and do crazy frat things. And so I found this balance. And it kind of was like Malcolm in the sense that they started using that more because it's a nice little story piece. You've got someone that wants to go on the hijinks, but at the same time will be a little bit of a conflict for everybody without being the principal, without being the Spangler or the dean of the college. So I think I maybe had that in me. And so I would say that like he is, if I was going to describe Eric, I would definitely say he's soft at heart and like a scared boy. But at the same time, he wants to facilitate, organized fun or looks down on people that are not, as quick and as superior as he thinks he is. And at the same time, doesn't know what he's doing, So he's got the idea to go to Alaska, and it's a perfect, plan, and it's all laid out for the rest of his life. And I think there was even a joke where they're like, we're going to make, $19 an hour. Like, we can retire off of that. Like, he's got big dreams and ideas, but jumps in, doesn't realize he's in the deep end and doesn't know how to swim a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, Will and I always talk about how Francis specifically, but I guess by extension, Eric, like, your lives are absolute hell, and especially in Alaska. Oh my God. It's like, what does he say? That one episode we watched recently, he's like working 80-hour weeks and he's not getting paid. He owes Lavernia money. I'm like, at that point, run and hitchhike. And if you die, it's a kinder
mercy,
fate. Yeah, it's a mercy death because it is absolute hell. It's horrible.
We're like, Francis should be like the poster child for like suicide prevention because he doesn't end his life when he has every reason to. Like, Jesus Christ.
If he can do it, you can do it.
Exactly. If he can survive. What was it? Would you guys joke about like how horrific his life was? Like, you read the next script and you're like, oh yeah, he's getting torn apart by dogs. That makes sense.
I think we were more like we knew that we were going to be getting some stuff that was a nightmare, and so we almost got used to it. We were just like, what thing are they going to come up with us for, to do in this episode, or like what impossible scenario or circumstances are going to keep going. I just thought it was so funny. Like, I thought that line was funny. I'm working 80 hours a week and I still owe her. And I was like, that's hilarious that they're stuck up here. And I just kept looking back and saying what idiots they were. They thought they were smart. They thought they had it figured out. They were cocky young men who had been, confined and oppressed by an overbearing Commandant Spangler. And then they had busted out, and then they were just completely lost. And I always just thought, well, they're trapped up there. They can't get away.
Right.
It was a perfect little prison to put them in, because they're so far away from civilization. And then she had you so in debt. And then they're young, so they were scared of her. Like, you're right. You could just run away. It's not like she has debt collectors. Lavernia's not going to send, people calling you. But they don't know that because they're 18. And they're like, well, I got that ledger book. So then they come up with a plot to get the ledger book,
Oh, that's such a good one.
Like
where they keep like fighting over in that little cage.
Oh my God, it's so good. When they realize they're locked in there and they just look at each other and then you just fight. Like, it's just like they have nothing to do but just attack each other.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. They're so frustrated. Why did you not lock or why didn't you bring the key or something? And why did you drag me to Alaska?
It all comes out. No, we just watched the two-parter like ice hockey episode. It's company picnic, but you guys are having this like whole competition, and the way that Eric like leans into the kind of being the star player thing
he loves
it. So funny. She's like Lavernia's like, he's got a slap shot that's like over this many miles an hour, and you like lean in and you go, well, inside court, fresh ice. Like, you're like,
so funny.
That is maybe my favorite Eric line. Like, he just gets swept up in things.
What an incredible episode for that hockey one. Oh my gosh, that was a dream with all those guest stars that came through.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you had any memories from that, like of working with those people.
Meeting Magic Johnson was like very surreal, and then like at the time, Howie Long and Terry Bradshaw were really cool, but like I couldn't believe Magic was there and like how tall he was. And I was a basketball fan. I was more a basketball fan in the 90s than the 80s, but who didn't know who Magic Johnson was?
Right.
And then just knowing that it was a massive episode on the other side, that other TV show that was going on with all the guest stars that were at the company picnic. That has one of my favorite lines that I still quote to this day, when Hal walks up to the woman and says, and what do we have here? And gestures at her belly. And she goes, my big fat belly, because she's not pregnant. Like, oh my God, I love that line so much. But funny story is that, so I'm left-handed. I swing a bat left-handed, and I hit a hockey puck left-handed, and I hit a golf ball left-handed. And I guess what happened was that the double that they had for the hockey, for me, so that I could be a superior hockey player, because I don't play hockey at all, was right-handed. And I'm a little, this is cocky Eric Nenninger, I'm a little ambidextrous. So like, technically I'm ambidextrous. So I throw a baseball with my right hand, but I swing a bat with my left hand. And I shoot a basketball with my right hand, but I write with my left hand. So I think I said to them, oh, no problem, I'll learn how to play right-handed, And so for like, right? Fucking, why doesn't the professional double learn how to play left-handed? But I was like, Glenwood, no problem. I'll play right-handed, you know? So I'm practicing, like trying to play right-handed. And I think I'm pretty good. And everyone's like, yeah, it looks really good. And we do the first take of it. And Todd Holland, who was the director, like comes away from the video village with the headphones on and goes, I thought Eric was supposed to be good. You know? I'm just like, you son of a... And if you look at all the shots, like the actual hockey that I'm doing, they're all like really close. And then they'll cut away to like this professional or college level hockey player that's doing all the cool stuff right-handed. But I thought that I could switch around and look legit. Even left-handed, I wasn't going to look good, you know, anyway. But I just remember like, what did I do to myself? Which was very Eric Hanson. Eric Nenninger.
Totally.
Eric Hanson.
Right. Totally.
Right.
Yeah. Life imitates art.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is a great episode.
So you knew how to skate then? You guys were all skating? Like
I did know how to skate, just, you know,
Wow.
growing up, enough to like move around the ice. And we had a couple of practice sessions just because it was a big episode. It was going to air right after the Super Bowl. Fox had the Super Bowl that year. It was that era where they were doing big episodes of their big TV shows. It was the third season, so Malcolm was getting a lot of acclaim at that point. And they just packed it with everybody. And it was a 1 hour episode, which was incredible.
Right.
You know?
I think it was
But
24 million viewers, which is just crazy.
Oh my
Isn't
God.
that insane?
Insane.
I know. Like the average, I think, was 11 to 14, like on your guys' normal episodes. And then that one was just like so huge because of all the guest stars and the Super Bowl thing. Just unbelievable to think about now. Like, you know, how much things have changed. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And to be a part of that. Like when you said that number right there, I was like, oh my gosh. I was in that episode a lot, you know?
Yeah, that's like NBA Finals viewership, like from last week. Like that's about similar.
And you were
It's
just
the New York
struggling
Knicks.
with that right hand.
Yeah.
And I was the whole time, that's all I was thinking about was like, please don't let them know that I'm actually left-handed, and thought I could be right-handed.
yeah. What was the dynamic of shooting the cadet stuff versus Alaska? Like, I imagine it took some like getting used to. It's a different vibe. I mean, it's a different group of people you're surrounded by.
Yeah, that was interesting because the cadet stuff was like a bunch of guys in that cadet room for the most part, like the sets that they had. We ventured out occasionally, you know, we went to New Orleans one episode. And then I was so excited because it was like I was part of the show going forward. So when I showed up, I was like, oh, this is what they have for us to do now. And there was this log cabin and the art, you know, department was incredible and the set design was incredible. And then the new people that they brought on, John Ennis was one of the actors who, I can't remember his character's name, but he was the big burly one. And then there was an older actor who was really, really funny.
So funny. So there's Pete and Artie, I think.
Pete and Artie.
So John Ennis was Artie.
Yeah.
And then
so
Pete was
funny.
the older guy. And John Ennis was hilarious. And he had been on like cult HBO shows. He was on Mr. Show forever.
Oh,
and they were
cool.
just,
yeah.
they were warm
I
and
wonder
they were funny.
Yeah, Tracy did Mr. Show, worked
Yeah,
in Mr.
she
Show,
was.
so I wonder if that was the connection.
Right.
I'm sure it was, you know.
Yeah.
So they were so again, Tracy and Linwood and everybody was bringing in fabulous people, and I completely trusted them the whole time. And so I knew that, and they were. I took it for granted. I was just like, they'll be wonderful, they'll be great, they'll be hilarious, they'll be nice. I'll want to hang out with them all day. That's how TV works, you know. And so
it's always like this.
Yeah, it's always like this, you know. And I've had a wonderful career, and I've worked with amazing people, and I don't have any horror stories. Hollywood is a lot nicer than it seems, especially in the comedy world. Like everybody that I've worked with has been, you know, amazing. But at the time, that was kind of an example for me that that's what it can be and what it should be. And maybe I was attracted to jobs like that, or they were attracted to me going forward, because season 3 was an awesome dynamic that we just started to build, and everybody was fun and wonderful as well. And we would still go in the evenings, and we would still, you know, do hijinks and things like that. And so it was new and exciting. It wasn't necessarily like a hard adjustment, and they took care of it. Like the producers and the stuff, like they knew what they were getting themselves into. They took care of it. The only difference was that we were dealing with like the mess hall and the cabin and the bunk, instead of it being, you know, the rec room or the little dorms with the military school. They had an issue with the snow. The snow was really difficult, you know. That was something that they told me too, as they decided to go away from the Alaska storyline, was that they had created a joke that it was always a torrential blizzard outside 24/7. Which is hilarious. But that meant that every time a door opened or a window opened, they needed wind blowing, snow. And every time anybody came inside, they needed to be covered in snow. And we're shooting in, you know, Burbank, California in a soundstage. So they're doing it with fake snow, of course. But every time that you have to reset, you have to dust the person off and get them covered in snow and have the wind going. And it was just bogging them down for a while.
Wow.
And so that was, I mean, they literally came to me because they were so wonderful. And they're like, hey, we're changing the storyline completely. You know, Francis is going to leave and go on and live his life. Just so that you know, this is some of the things that we had to consider. It wasn't just that we're done with you and you're not going to be part of the show going forward. But that was also an example of how wonderful producers are and the things that they're dealing with in order to make a show. Like we talked about, they have to have a morning shift and a night shift. And if the night shift keeps running over because they have to reset snow, then that means they can't start the next day until later because everybody needs to go home and have a turnaround. It's incredible what they are able to pull off at that time and make such an amazing show. And I learned that from Malcolm. I was like, oh, wow, there's more going on than just them writing Eric's lines and getting ready for Eric to show up. That was part. I'm sure there were other reasons too, but that was part of the reason was that the snow was so difficult to constantly reset and handle.
It's fascinating. Yeah, there are all these practical considerations. I think when Willa and I doing this podcast and talking to cast and crew, like learning about those things that you just do not think about when you watch the show. But also something that we've, learned through talking to like people behind the scenes and people that worked in the show is this recurring sentiment that everybody's like, best job I ever had, such an amazing, nurturing atmosphere. Like it was, people sort of being like, just going on about how great of a set it was, which is very cool to see and something that we didn't intend to learn about when we made this podcast.
We joke about like, thank fucking God, man.
Imagine it was a shit show behind the scenes.
I mean, hey, maybe that would have been an interesting investigative like deep dive. But but it's really been everybody we talked to like, that was awesome. I love this person, whatever. And then that allows us to talk to people like you and other people because people are still connected as well. It seems like this family, like I'm sure you're still connected to some of the military guys and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would work with Drew Powell and RJ Smith occasionally and then socially like see them and keep in touch with them. And social media is wonderful for stuff like that. And Drew and I would see each other at auditions and things, or maybe we never worked on a job together since then, but he would work with a friend of mine and RJ ended up working with people that I know as well too. But it was something special. And I always just credit Linwood Boomer for setting the tone at the top all the way down. Everybody was very, very talented and hardworking, and they had an incredible perspective and an attitude and a friendliness to them and a kindness to them. But you're right. Nobody wants to think that Jane Kaczmarek is a terrible person or that Frankie Nunez is not, wonderful, or that Bryan Cranston is horrible. You don't want to hear that. And I just knew that was true. And I tell people too, because a lot of times people ask me about Bryan, because obviously with Breaking Bad and everything, and they just love him so much. They're just like, what's Bryan Cranston like? And I'm like, he is exactly what you want him to be. He's amazing. He's wonderful. He's kind. He's, all these things that were an example. And then now, he's a friend in a sense. I never get to see him because he's Bryan Cranston, but every time I see him, he's always like, hey, Eric. And I'm like, how do you know who I am still? I was like, don't you have too many awards blocking your memory right now?
He's like, you were my son's friend in school at military academy.
We had that one half scene together, remember? He's delusional, which just makes
he's delusional. He's sad. Lazy and he's delusional.
But everybody was like that. Everybody was great. Every crew member was wonderful. And honestly, like, I'm sure that if you weren't, then they would just be like, thank you so much for your time. We're going to move on. Like, they had a sense of doing it. And I always said that it came from the top down. I always thought it was Linwood. And Linwood's still like that. He's still wonderful. And Tracy's still wonderful. And Ken Quapis is still kind and wonderful. And so it definitely is one of the most special jobs I've ever had and holds a special place in my heart. And I didn't quite realize it until we did the reboot,
Yeah, it kind of lets you reflect on everything. I mean, we talked about this too, the fact that they made the plot of the reunion kind of be this reunion. I feel it must have been nice to also have actors that never shared scenes together actually be in the same place and interact with each other a bit more. What a special thing to be able to foster that years later. So you didn't. Did you hear over the years, like, oh, they're talking about doing a reboot? They're talking, or was it a complete surprise when they approached you about it?
Maybe like 6 months out. Maybe just because they were saying, hey, we're looking at this in March. Everybody's we got all the main cast schedules lined up. We just want to let you know because we're going to be doing it in Vancouver. so those were the things. So I got a call, but it was out of the blue.
Wow.
It was like, it was a gift. It was right around December or so. And my agent, who I was with at the time when Malcolm just finished up, I started with his agent. So I'd been with them for like 20 years. So they knew me as I was finishing on Malcolm is when I started with them. And they've been my agent for, 20 plus years. Called me and he's like, Eric, you're never going to believe this. He's like, they're doing a Malcolm in the Middle reboot and they want you to be in it. And I was like, you shut your face, Joel King, right now. I'm gonna hang up the phone on you. And I was like, what a dream. He's like, yeah, you're going to be in an episode and we're doing 4 of them and we'll know more details later. And then you put it to bed because you don't know if it's ever going to happen. But I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it years in the making like that. I knew about it maybe more like 4 months in advance. But that was great. That was a great thing to look forward to. And then it came to fruition. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like? Did it feel like old times sort of, or was it, I'm curious about the energy of the set of the revival.
It was surreal. It was like, I'm sure other people have said this. It was like a family reunion, like a class reunion, but all rolled into one, except you got to go to the classes that you loved in high school. Because we got to also, it wasn't like we all got together for a party, which we had done occasionally. We got to go back to work and do the thing that brought us close together. And it was the lightest, freest job I can remember because it was so, you just wanted to relish it. And it's one of the very rare times that I wasn't anxious or nervous whatsoever about starting. Because as an actor, you're always a little bit nervous. You're always like checking your stuff. And especially an actor like me where I'm kind of guesting on a lot of shows, I'm always joining a production that's been rolling. So I definitely want to be on top of it, And occasionally I would come back and be a part of the series more times, but still I was always kind of joining something that's been moving. But with Malcolm, it was like going to family. And so as soon as we walked in, it was just like, I couldn't believe I was seeing these faces and they were the people that I was a kid, growing up. And now they were, older and grown, like the Krellborns were grown. I couldn't believe those 3 guys when I saw them the first time. And then to see Chris Masterson again, and him and I, maybe kept in touch a little bit, but we didn't remain necessarily close friends. And so to see Chris, and I hadn't seen him in forever. And then, like I said, I saw Drew and RJ, and we're in Vancouver. We're about to do another episode of Malcolm in the Middle. But when we went to set, there was a warmth and a lightness to it. And it was in everybody. Everybody was so grateful and happy. And I felt this is going to sound a little way out there, but there was this idea that all of us wanted to sort of settle into it so that it wouldn't slip away. It wouldn't be over quickly. Like everybody was like, let's just relax for a second and sit in this for a little bit longer because we know that eventually this is going to end. And then there was Tracy and Linwood just sort of greeting everybody. And everyone was just like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. And you're right about getting to work with actors or see actors that I never saw. Because even like Hal's friends, the poker guys, I never saw them. You know what I mean? Or like Stevie's mom, I was ended up staying, and I didn't know this actress, and we ended up having dinner as a group together out. Cool. Stevie's mom and a couple of Krellborns and a few of the cadets. The Krellborns.
Who would have thought?
Right? But I got to know them, and then who would have ever thought that the Krellborns and the cadets would have gone out on the town in Vancouver? Like that was what we had so fun doing.
If I could be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, only in our fan fiction does that happen frequently.
It was all the storylines. We totally shipped the Krellborns
check our blog where we actually write a lot of Cadet Krellborn.
Yeah, there's a lot of a couple chapters there that's happening.
A little bit of flirtation between
absolutely.
Lloyd and Drew. But that's so fun.
There was a peaceful joy and a settledness to it where if we were doing it before and you were like, okay, we're working, this is really hard, I got to get back to my life. Plus everybody's on location, so nobody has to get back anywhere. And it just felt like home. It honestly did. I didn't really remember or appreciate or had thought about how much time I had spent with all those people,
Right.
Because to do even 27 episodes of a TV show is a rare thing. And that's a lot of hours over a lot of years. So the costume designer that I hadn't seen in years and was sharing stories about my kids and hers being grown and camera people and like writers who had gone on, big directors and writers that were coming back to be assistant directors and focus pullers. because they got their start doing that, that was amazing. They're like, oh, yeah, I'll come back and do this job because that's the one that I started on, even though now I'm an executive producer of a show or, like a showrunner, and I'm going to come back and do this. Yeah. And then to have Ken Kwapis directing you again was just such a nostalgic dessert. I can't. So Ken Kwapis doesn't yell action. Most directors, they'll say, rolling is his action. Ken Kwapis says, and go ahead. Because it's sort of like a gentle way of starting it. And he always did that. And so to have him say, go ahead, I mean, it makes you cry. You know what I mean? It just makes you so like happy to be doing that again. It was wonderful.
Wow.
That's lovely.
That's amazing to hear. He's a very sweet man.
Yep.
And
I love his voice. Yeah. Such a gentle voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've talked to people, mostly Alex Reed was bringing up the fact that Linwood was very much on set and like hands-on earlier in the seasons. Like a little bit later, he kind of was like, bro, I need to take a step back. This is so much. I'm wondering, was he on set for, military school stuff and Alaska stuff? And what are the kinds of like notes that he would give or feedback he would give to you guys as actors if he was stepping in to do that?
He was always there. And again, I didn't know any better. I thought that the creator and executive producer of a television show was on set all the time, making sure that everything was happening like that. I didn't realize it, and so he was still doing that in the third season, especially probably because the storyline was changing so much. Eventually he would take off as it got maybe a little bit later and once he knew that things were up and running, but he was, his attention to detail was incredible, and so he was always behind and he would always come around and give notes, which again, is not necessarily how the chain of command necessarily works. Usually a creator will speak to the director and then the director will talk to the actors. And that would maybe happen a little bit too, just so it doesn't get lost in translation. And you don't want to make actors self-conscious, which is an easy thing to do. Because they're already self-absorbed. You just don't want to make them conscious of it. So he would be... But there was such a camaraderie and a trust between, we would rotate 3 directors. Jeff Melman was one, Todd Holland and Ken Kwapis, but there was a camaraderie and an understanding of what the comedy was and what they were going for between the 3 of them and Linwood. So it was never necessarily something that they had to protect how information was passed along, Linwood would say something to Todd and Todd would come in and say something to you, or Linwood would just sort of yell it over and be like, it's this, and this. But he was meticulous with his notes. Yeah. He would give them, you would do it again and you do it again and you do it again. And I thought that was what it was. And I was kind of used to that because I kind of came out of a drama school where you were working pretty hard, And I didn't know that most of the time they don't go back and try to do it again so often, I thought that was normal. So his notes would be very specific in the sense that he would be like, it's more, and he would kind of describe a tone or a feeling. And less of, and he would describe a tone or a feeling. And I was like, okay, great, I'll take that note. This is what I'm doing. The one that I remember is from the reboot, because again, I was getting notes from Linwood Boomer, which was so wonderful, is that, so we're sitting around the table at the 40th anniversary party, and there's a picture of Commandant Spangler, and we all like flip him the bird or something like that. It was like, yeah, we got you. And I had the choice that I would let a little bit of the trauma that I had come out, and I'd be like, yeah, I hate you. And like, that was my choice, which I thought was really, really funny. And I was like, that would be great if Eric is like a little unhinged because his life is ruined by this guy. And Linwood came over and he was just like, it's really, really funny. He goes, but actually what we're going for is that he's clueless to the fact that he was traumatized by this man. And that they think that 20 years after his death, stealing something means that they got back at him. He goes, he would sort of describe it like that. And I would go, oh, I was trying to think of something funny. But what he was going for was this bigger, more hilarious, deeper, richer joke in the idea that they think that flipping this picture of this man off 20 years later means that they got back at him. And they're clueless to the trauma that he caused him. And I was like, oh, and that's like a Linwood Boomer note. Is that he would come in and say like, yes, this, and this, but what we're going for is this. It was a needlepoint bullseye that he would go for. And then during the reboot as well, this is Bryan Cranston, multiple Emmy, Tony, Oscar nominee, playing Hal. And he does something at the table, I think, with the poker buddies. And Linwood's behind the thing because he's on set the whole time. And he goes, close. over the microphones. And everyone goes, whoa, you got close from Linwood. That's high praise. And Brian's like, I know, I can't believe I was close. But he had this idea, and it was like tuning it to the exact note that you wanted it to be. So no, he was always there, and he was always explaining stuff, and he would always let you know exactly the idea that he was going for. It was collaborative. You would try to give it to him. But looking back on it, of course, he knew what he wanted it to sound like. And it was better than what you thought it should sound like.
Yeah.
And he's like acknowledging your interpretation of it. He's not just like, wrong, do this. It's like, oh, I know you were going for that, but this is how I'm... And explaining the thought process rather than just asking for the result is really like... Yeah, that probably makes you trust him as an actor too, that he's actually thinking through.
Yeah, and he was an actor too, so he kind of thought like an actor did a little bit.
Looking back at your time on Malcolm, having, worked on so many other awesome TV shows too now, like, are there things that you're like, oh, I think I took that or learned that behavior? I'm sure there's many on working on Malcolm that I've brought forward, or I attribute that to my time on Malcolm. Like, is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, it was just literally like the respect that you have for everybody and the kindness that you have for everybody and being professional. I learned that on Malcolm in the Middle. I was like, never hold anybody up. It was work ethic. It was the work side of it rather than the creative side of it. Because no matter how, long or whatever was going on in your world, there were other people that were older, so they had bigger problems in their lives and bigger things that they were dealing with. And just like we said with the production constraints that they were under, I learned that. Everybody's a family. Everybody's going to be working hard and being really friendly and fun while they're doing it. That's how you set the tone for a show. And so I would bring that to other sets, knowing consciously that if they were doing that on that incredibly award-winning show, then I can also do that on this one. And I think that helped me have the career that I have, is that I knew that was the energy that we bring to a TV show. That everybody's important, and also it's not life and death. It's television, it's entertainment, it's a blessing and a joy to be able to do this. A lot of times I'm in comedy, so we're making people laugh, and everybody here is capable of doing a wonderful job in their role. And so you bring that to a set, and people who also feel that way light up as well, and they're like, great. It's not a tragedy what we're doing. You know what I mean? What we're doing is something that is a gift to be working in Hollywood on a TV show that's going out and making people laugh and entertaining them. And so it's, as I go throughout my career, and as I did, I would start to work with people that I had worked with before, and I would start to realize that the jobs will come and go and the shows will end, but the people that you've worked with along the way is what I hold close. The shows people can watch and they can rewatch, which is wonderful, and I love being a part of them. But what became equally special to me was the people that I had worked with along the way, and I 100% learned that on Malcolm and took that and at least was aware of that going forward. So, and again, there's wonderful, wonderful groups of people on other productions as well too. You guys mentioned What Hot American Summer. That group is also like Malcolm in the Middle. Like, just in case you're wondering, every single one of those ridiculous, comedic titans are wonderful human beings and are nice and fun and show up and they're down to be there. I mean, I was in a cabin holding area in some ridiculous camp in North Malibu with like movie star comedians. Just trying to make myself as small as possible at 3 a.m. because we had to do a night shoot, and it had to happen this week because you can't get these people in the same room. And they are all just hanging out, being goofy, getting punchy, like down to stay as long as they need to stay. And it was a similar situation. Like it's out there. You know what I mean? The shows that are funny and have a likeness to them are because of the people that are behind it. And Malcolm absolutely taught me that. Absolutely taught me.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, we are obsessed with Wet Hot American Summer.
Huge fans.
I mean, it's a huge, that and Malcolm in the Middle, like, are two kind of cornerstones, I think, very formative for our, like, sense of humor.
Yeah, they go for every joke, and that's what I love. Like, there's...
In an incredible way.
You can always fit in another joke. Like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
That's how they are too when you're hanging out with them too. Like, they just keep joking. And
right.
You're like, oh my gosh, these people are 10 levels above me. I love Michael Showalter films. I love the ones that he writes and the ones that he directs. And God, if they're doing a parody, like, it's
amazing,
incredible.
Yeah, he's a genius.
Too good. Too good.
Okay, I have to ask about the Malcolm in the Middle thing behind you. Is that like a rap gift? What am I looking at?
Yeah, it was like a series wrap GIF for the whole thing. It's sort of like a yearbook, which is pretty incredible. You know, like there's photos and stuff like that. I got to untangle myself here.
Wow.
There's me, and you can see 99 to 2006.
Whoa.
And I still, you know, of course, like still have it, which is amazing. It says love, Linwood, Brian, and Jane.
Oh,
that's so sweet.
Jane Katzmarek was so wonderful when we saw her. There's a picture of me when I was pretty much on Malcolm in the Middle.
Nice.
But
stud.
you'll see that these are all just like shots from it. They would always do something wonderful at the end, but it's pretty much like a yearbook that I've carried with me.
Really cute.
You know, for the 10 or 12 places that I've lived in since then. But
Wow.
they were good about that too. Again, it was a family, and they wanted you to be able to remember it. You know, so really cool.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
That's so sweet.
Pull that out. Yeah.
Oh wow! Thanks for showing that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you keep watching the show after you were no longer in it?
Yes, I did. It was again like it was 2002, 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So we weren't like it was like DVR. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
you were gonna
right.
record stuff like that. So it wasn't a matter of like every whatever night of the week that it was on. I wasn't sitting down and like catching it.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
But yes, I absolutely kept watching it as much as I could. I would watch like reruns of it. And then by whatever year it became available, I rewatched all of it with my kids in COVID, and they loved it. So I
Nice.
have
Oh,
two
that's
kids.
sweet.
I have a boy and a girl. And rewatching it, I do remember that I had seen every episode in some way. You know what I mean? But then I got to go through the entire 7 seasons, which was great. And my kids were just like, what is this? The boys are so funny, and they're at the perfect age for it. And I'll probably rewatch it with my daughter now too, because she's a little bit older, so she'll get into the hijinks that she'll love.
Yeah.
The dynamic of the 3 brothers
Right.
is what my son loved at the time, and I just shook my head at how incredible this show was. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I must have started like you TiVo'd it. You know, that's what you did, or you DVR'd it, or something like that. But yeah, no, I kept watching it, which is great.
That's
Yeah.
sweet.
That's awesome. Was there ever any talk of like, oh, Eric will come back, or I mean, it wouldn't have. They probably would only reach out to you if that was like a surefire thing. But
Yes, yeah. By the time
yeah.
they come to me, which is also a kind gesture, like don't just call
Yes.
up and get an actor excited about something.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're thinking about
it. Buckle up. We might do it.
You're like, great, go buy a car because you think.
Honey, things are about to change.
Yeah. Quit your regular job. No, it was always just speculation, like what happened to Eric. How funny is that bit when Eric is left on the highway and the hamster ball rolls by?
Yeah.
I love that so
Bernard.
much. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course.
The
Yeah.
end of
Bernard
season
unit.
3.
Yeah, Bernard.
Yeah,
Bernard.
oh my God. Yeah, Bernard unit.
We wonder if they were. Every shot they're like, can we get Bernard in
Can
here?
we sneak him in here? Every setup.
Yeah.
Is there a room for this? They keep the
Can he go on
Bernard
the
unit on
ceiling?
standby.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
They never get wrapped.
No, never.
No.
It's
They
all
go
night.
to they go to both sides.
Even
like,
in bed, he's like in bed. His wife's asleep. He's like looking at the ceiling, like, can I stick in Bernard tomorrow and the setup at noon?
no, it's
She's
too
like-
risky.
You're having an affair with Bernard. Who is this Bernard?
yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I we have a couple rapid fire questions here.
Great.
Do you think you could survive Marlin Academy in real life?
Oh my gosh, I probably could.
Okay.
wow.
All
That was
right.
really confident, right? I definitely no, I think that I would get really, no, I could not. I would challenge too much and they would kick me out. No,
Oh, okay. Challenging Spangler. All right.
Challenges being,
Dude.
which I guess I did as the character, but no, I would not respect authority or rules.
I have one, which is that this isn't even listed here, but like we always talk about this. Like, is Francis popular at military school? Do you think? Like, we're always curious about his social standing. Like, because he's
Do they like him, or do they think he's just like the freak?
because he's also kind
I
of like
think that-
Spartacus in a lot of ways. He stands up for the little guy, and
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
people rally
I think
behind
they like
him.
him. I think they absolutely like him just because he's like coming up with ideas and things to do, and he really challenges things. You know, like his
Yeah.
ideas are a little like more progressive. You know, as opposed to like this is how we're going to break the rules. He's just like, why don't we not pretend rules don't exist? You know,
Right,
Well,
right.
The Peep episode is a send up to the Paul Newman movie where he eats the 50 eggs. Cool Hand Luke. So Paul Newman has a movie called Cool Hand Luke where he's in prison and everybody's down on their luck and there's no morals or anything like that. And Luke comes in and he sort of lights it up. He challenges a guy that he can eat 50 eggs. And they bet like something that they can exchange in prison. And so the Peeps episode is a send up to Cool Hand Luke.
Funny.
And in Cool Hand Luke, he does that for all the prisoners because they're all like depressed and obviously and they're like in life in prison in the 50s or 60s, so they're working on a chain gang or something like that, and that's like the story of that you could never break Luke's spirit, and so Francis is doing that with the Peeps, and so I think because of that he's wildly popular. Yeah, if you ever get a chance, you can just Google like Cool Hand Luke egg episode. It's virtually the same thing. Like he gets completely sick, you know, he's gonna throw up, he has to keep him down, but it's 50 hard-boiled eggs. Yeah.
Oh, hard-boiled too. I love that he's like they're like 51. 50, 49, 48, 49. It's so disgusting. It's so horrible. All right. Do you think Eric needs Francis more or Francis needs Eric more?
Well, my initial reaction is that Francis needs Eric more, but I think that Eric might need Francis more so that he doesn't cry all the time. Like, I think he needs another person around him to sort of like snap him out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he gives off the impression he doesn't need him, but he actually does.
Right. You would miss him definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite brother of the? I guess it's not include Francis in it.
Yeah, besides Francis,
Malcolm, Dewey, Reese. Is there one that you connected
Jamie,
to?
if we're tossing him in there.
Sure. 1000%. Never will change my answer. Favorite character on the show is Reese till the day I die.
Almost everybody we ask says that.
Yeah.
Not even brother character, including my own. Every Fringe character. Reese is my favorite. Favorite. He's talking to Hal is talking to Reese about feeling bad for messing up one of the cooking students' recipes, and he's trying to teach him about empathy. And he's just like, empathy is when something happens and you feel bad for the other person. And Reese goes, well, if empathy makes you feel bad, why would you want empathy? And he goes, how would you feel if you were that woman whose quiche you ruined? I don't know, fat?
That is one of the best lines of the show.
Bro. Yeah, this rewatch has been like, Reese is number one. Like, that has really been
100%.
solidified for me.
He was always my favorite. Always my favorite. I love Reese, and I love Reese lines so much.
Man. Funny. Do you have a most horrific thing that happens to Francis that you like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe that.
What they did to him?
Yes.
I think they shaved his head at one point. They just put a bald cap on him, and he Sharpied it on top of him. That was really funny.
That's a haunting image.
It's really creepy, right?
Like Charlie Brown, like with like the big hair. It's really scary.
Yeah. On the day they put a bald cap on Chris Masterson, of course, you know, and then did it, but it just looks so weird. I remember just being like,
yeah.
I hate it. We recently watched the episode where like he pisses off like 50 men, and he's like talking on the phone and keeps turning around, and more guys are walking in like pissed off about to beat him up, and it's just it's so horrible.
They're gonna kill him. Yeah.
I know, but he can't die. He's like a cockroach. Yeah, he can't die.
And he's got a little cockroach in him. Yeah,
he does.
Survivalist in him.
Right.
Yep. Well, this has been such a joy talking to you, Eric. I mean, like, just like you say that Bryan Cranston is exactly how you'd want him to be, you are exactly how we would want you to be. And you had so much fun, like, joking around and telling us about this wonderful show. And thank you for giving such an incredible performance on this TV show. I mean, you made, like, a character that could have been just a side, whatever, you know, throwaway thing into, like, such a fun, like, I relish the Eric lines. I really do.
Seriously,
I'm just like, how is he going to spin this one? And it never disappoints. Yeah. So, it's been an awesome time.
Thank you so much. I so much enjoy talking about Malcolm in the Middle and love doing it, and appreciate when anybody reaches out and wants to talk to me about it. And I can't tell you how like full it makes me feel when people say that Eric was their favorite character. I'm always just like, oh my gosh, you know, because again, it was something from my youth that shaped my career and shaped me as a person in ways that I didn't even realize until stuff like this happened. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. And thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Well, you're welcome back anytime.
Yeah. I know. We might do like a cadet ep or
That would
something.
be fun. We'd love
get
to do
Drew
that.
on
Yeah.
and get RJ on.
Group conversation.
It'd be fun.
That'd be
It'd
sick.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
but
would be a good interview.
yeah. Chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you guys for watching. This episode was recorded at Gotham Production Studios. And as always, this podcast is part of the Gotham Network. And we will see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, no, maybe. I don't know. Can you repeat? Well, that's what you're doing. Life is a